Coming to you live from Thornbury Creek at Oneida, this is Locker Room with Burke Griffin and George Kuntz. Tonight's program is sponsored by the Oneida Nation. And now your host, Local 5 Sports Director, Burke Griffin.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Locker Room right here at Thornbury Creek at Oneida Golf Course. Well, the Packers are heading into their bye week on a winning note after surviving against Carolina at Lambeau Field. We'll talk more about that with former Packers and 49ers player and Green Bay assistant coach Harry Sidney on the bye week in a moment. But first, let's hear it for the co-host of the show, former Super Bowl champ George Kuntz.
Burke. I'm excited about our guest.
Great guy.
Yep. It's rare that I have a chance to interview a mentor of mine, and Harry Sidney is just that.
Yep.
Because I used to watch him when I was in high school and when I was in college, and have an opportunity to play with him in 1992.
Yep.
And now he's still in the area doing some great work in the community. Having a chance to have him on the show, it does my heart good.
Fun fact for you.
Yes.
He's the first guy I ever hosted a Packers show with. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
You did not know. You were already out in Seattle with Holmgren, and he, after Ray Rhodes and the staff got let go, we did a TV show called The Fifth Quarter for about 3-4 years.
Well, he's first class.
Our one little gimmick was we had this Clint Eastwood clip that I would show, and it was Dirty Harry. And he'd say, "Make my day," and we'd have Dirty Harry's hit of the week. So we'll have to bring that up.
Okay, we'll bring it up.
I don't think that would work in today's game. We might get fined for showing the hits.
Yes, that's true.
You know. All right. Hey. 8-2, you picked it, right? At the bye week? We all did. No problem.
Right.
Tied, well, half game back of San Fran for the top seed in the NFC.
Well, you couldn't ask for a better start right now, because if the season ended today, the Packers would have the number 2 seed, have a game at home, and have a bye. Who would ever thought that back in training camp? So I'm just elated at the Packer organization right now.
Look, it was cold, it was crummy, the snow started coming down heavy in the end of the fourth quarter there. Snow globe at Lambeau, and it was right to the final play. But leading up to that, what more can you say about Aaron Jones at this point? I mean, the guy, 3 more touchdowns.
3 more touchdowns. I think he has 14 on the year. I think he's probably tied with Christian McCartney. And he's just having a great year, and I'm looking forward to seeing him finish strong.
Now, even though they didn't put up a ton of points, we did see some big play capability too. Jimmy Graham deep down the middle. Devontae had a couple of them down each of the sidelines. Explosive plays from this offense, which maybe we hadn't seen a whole lot of.
Right. We had a lot of explosive plays, but one thing about the Green Bay Packers, we're 8-2, but it seems like we still haven't got to the top of where we're trying to go yet.
And turnover ratio. They got a pair of big ones, the fumble recovery, and then the tip pass as the Panthers were driving into at least maybe put 3 on the board. And their ratio right now is +9. That's third best in the NFL.
+9, and I think what the story is if you have the most turnovers, or if you can get the most turnovers for the Green Bay Packers, you're going to win, and that's been true this year.
As a defensive guy, 18 plays, the final drive, right to the, I mean, and they were the Packers were a little bit out of position, and Blake Martinez is literally pushing Kyler Fackrell over here. They come flying in, they make the stop on that. Bend, but don't break, and that's 1 inch. I mean, it was literally a game of inches.
Right. You couldn't have asked for a better ending for the fans, for the television audience. It was just a great finish, and but that's a little bit too much on my heart.
Yeah, I think everybody out at home too, Packers fans, let's put it away a little bit earlier than this. All right, time for a segment we like to call the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the good. We mentioned it already, the Packers offensive line and Aaron Jones paving the way.
You have to give them credit right now. I think the offensive line for the Green Bay Packers, they're the second highest paid offensive line in the National Football League, and they're playing like they're the best. And Aaron Jones, what can we say? He can catch the ball off the backfield. He can run it. He's fast. He's a great young man, and he's dedicated to this organization.
It could be co-good with Devontae Adams as well. 7 catches for over 100 yards. All right. By the way, Jones, the first guy since Sterling Sharp to have 3 TDs in multiple games as a player, and the first running back to do so since great Jimmy Taylor did it back in 1962. All right.
Wow.
Not taking the points before halftime. Matt LaFleur said he would have still would have still gone for it, but he should have called a different play. I mean, you can't get blown up at the 1 yard line like that and come away with nothing.
I understand what he was trying to do because if you would have scored, you would get the ball back, you know, at the third quarter, and you could have doubled down. But you know, the Carolina Panthers, they made a great play, play in the backfield, but we move on.
The ugly, and this has got to change if things are penalties. 10 again. I mean, you have 1 or 2 at inopportune times, and it's gonna affect them.
It's going to affect them, and one thing we have to clean up going forward. We have 6 games to go. We cannot have those type of penalties because that is starting to show that we're undisciplined, and we have too much talent to not be disciplined out there in the football field.
Late hits, roughing the passer. There's certain ones that just come in the heat of the action. The pre-snap ones, though, offside, false start, those are the ones that have to be taken care of.
Well, the last drive, there was 2 penalties on the defensive side of the ball that could have really put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, and against the 2, Preston and Zadarius, like they're 2 most productive guys and the veteran leaders, so that'll change. All right, when we come back on Locker Room, our special guest tonight on the bye week is none other than former Packers player and coach Harry Sidney. He'll join us.